Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome to the presentation tonight. Tonight we're going to look on about protein and why it's our friend in weight loss. So whether you're watching this live, I appreciate you being on the call tonight. If you're listening or watching to the recording, welcome. Please take as many notes as you can. This is probably, a lot of this you will have heard through our one-to-one chats or one of the modules. We'll talk about this, but so I'm repeating some of this information, but I really want to drive home how important protein is in terms of burning body fat. It's our number one friend, and we really do need it. So it's very important that we look at this in more detail. So first of all, some basics about what protein is. And forgive me if you already know this, but it's quite important to know this. So protein is one of the macronutrients. You know, macronutrients refers to protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Essential for building muscle, repair, and burning body fat. Contains 4 calories per gram. And to give you some context, as you know, carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram also, and fat contains 9. If everyone could just put themselves on mute, if that's okay, so I don't hear anything in the background, that'd be awesome. Thanks, guys. Protein contains amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of life. You may have heard of the term amino acids. There's 21 amino acids, and only 9 essential, which means you must get them from your diet. So the other, do my maths, of the 11, our body can manufacture them on our own. So the 9 essential ones we must get from the diet, and we can only get them from eating beef, chickens, eggs, protein shake, even non-animal protein sources will give you a version of some of the essential amino acids. But we need to get all 21 really to get the optimal level of protein. Okay, benefits of protein. You've all heard this. Satiety, it keeps you fuller for longer. So the reason we can stay reasonably low calorie is because we're aiming for a high amount of protein. So satiety just keeps you fuller for longer. Now, the guys that are watching this or listening in from the UK, you'll know our supermarket Sainsbury's. Now they've got a fuller for longer food range. It just means a high protein. So Sainsbury's are actually pretty switched on with this. So satiety will keep you fuller for longer. Very often I get people that are eating a typical crappy breakfast, might be some cereal and white toast, white bread toast. You know, there's nothing wrong with that itself, but there's not a lot of nutrients in it. So for most people, probably wouldn't be the wisest choice. I get clients that are eating that, maybe like a bowl of cornflakes and some toast, and they switch over to like a whole egg omelette. Helen, I'm only joking. Very often they get to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and think, I haven't actually felt hungry all morning, where if you have a high carb-based breakfast, it tends to make people a lot hungrier than if you have protein. So the more protein we can get on our body is going to keep you fuller for longer. And very often I get people saying, get to the end of the day, I just can't even get all my calories in, which is a great thing. It's essential for building muscle. Effectively, you're made of protein. Take away your bones, your skin, blood, your lean body mass is protein, and it is constantly in turnover. We can't store protein in the body. You can actually store body fat as body fat, as you know. Carbohydrates can get stored in the muscle and the liver, but protein can't be stored. So it's either used when it's digested, it's used, or excreted. If you don't use it, you'll go out in urine or whatever. But it needs constant turnover. We need it for building muscle, and I'm going to talk about how and how much in a bit. And it's highly thermogenic. Now, all foods will have a rate of thermogenesis. And what that means is that every time you eat food, it will actually burn calories in eating, digestion, and elimination. Now, all foods will do that, protein, fats, and carbs. But protein is 30% thermogenic, roughly, give or take. Carbs, probably 15%, maybe 20%, and fat is only 1 to 3%. So not only is fat gram for gram got 9 calories, so more than double, it's actually the least thermogenic. So although fat won't make you fat, there's more chance of it causing you to gain weight because it's not burning calories and digesting. And there's a lot more calories, so it's very quick to overeat. Just 10 grams of fat is going to give you 90 calories, where 10 grams of protein is just 40 calories. But this is how we keep warm. The rate of thermogenesis is how we keep warm. When you have a meal, your body burns calories. That's what generates energy, gets the blood flowing, keeps you warm, and gives us energy. But here's the thing. Although that's very important, well, people say, well, if I just eat protein all day long, will I burn body fat? Well, yes and no. You'll burn more calories, but thermogenesis will only account for about 15% of your metabolism. So if you were eating 1,500 calories and you were getting all protein, it would still only burn an extra 150 calories. And again, it's not even the same in everyone. That might be the optimal level for some people. So it's probably burning maybe 100 calories a day. So you can see total calories will always trump thermogenesis. Although it's an important thing to have, as in you could eat no protein, although it's quite hard to do, and eat only carbs and fat, and the amount of body fat burnt between that person to someone eating all protein would still be negligible, because it might only be less than 100 calories. So it wouldn't make a lot of difference, but it's important to know. Okay, so that's thermogenesis, basically. I hope that makes sense. Here's one of the most important things, which a lot of people don't really understand. Now, you know the term neurotransmitters, okay? And they're just chemicals in the brain, really. So this is how it works. Protein will raise an amino acid. Tyrosine is an amino acid, which is one of those building blocks. An amino acid in your body. And this will increase dopamine and adrenaline, or if you're American, norepinephrine. Why the Americans changed the word adrenaline and why people misspell adrenaline by putting the E on the end of adrenaline, I'll never know. So if you ever see adrenaline with an E on the end, it's actually a spelling mistake. So the proper English should be adrenaline, not adrenaline. But anyway, that's the English language. Norepinephrine if you're American, adrenaline if you're from the UK. So small amounts of these chemicals will be released. Funnily enough, dopamine and adrenaline are the main chemicals released if you jump out of a plane, which I've done. If you have sex, which I've done. Which if you do cocaine. If you drive a fast car, I've done. Anything exhilarating, which we've all done, will increase the neurotransmitters in your brain. And this will keep you alert, keep you switched on, buzzed, lots of activity going on in the brain. So there's extreme examples. Anything that's high octane will give you a massive dump of dopamine and adrenaline in your brain and your blood. And that adrenaline is that fight or flight. When you get scared or something kicks off, there's a fight or something, you get that fight or flight, you get that massive dump of that feeling. That's adrenaline, and also dopamine as well. So protein will give very small amounts of that. Okay, so you're not going to get that massive rush you get from jumping out of a plane, driving a fast car or anything, but small amounts, and it'll keep you alert, keep you active, and keep that neural drive going, that pathway of being just switched on. The carbs will increase the amino acid tryptophan, which you may have heard of that, which will increase serotonin, which is a hormone, and serotonin will make you sleepy. So, contrary to what a lot of people believe about eating carbs late at night, carbs are actually best eaten for your last meal. If you were doing a fairly low carb diet, now all of you are reduced carbs, you're not low carbs, as in you're mindful of the carbs, but all of you are at least pushing 100 grams of carbs, or are perfectly entitled to, because that's only going to give you 400 calories. What you could do, what I like to do, is have a fairly heavy carb breakfast, a heavy protein breakfast, a light carb lunch, and have most of my carbs in the evening, okay? Because it's going to make me sleepy. So you can see that's a good thing, okay? High protein equals focus, energy, and drive. High carb equals sleepy, sluggish, and satisfied. So have you ever had that feeling where you've had a high carb lunch and you get that really, I feel really tired, and so that is carbohydrates, and that's what we kind of want to avoid. So carbs won't necessarily make you fat, but they can actually make you sleepy. So you can see that's not what we want. Okay. So how much do we need? But to stay alive, there's only maybe 0.8 per kilo of intended body weight per day, which an example of 70 kilos is going to be about 56 grams per day, which is not a huge amount. It's not a huge amount. Organs, nails, hair, skin, blood, general function, we need that. If you were just to sit on the sofa and do nothing, that's what you would need. And you can very quickly get that protein up by eating a chicken breast. It's 30 grams. But what do we need for optimal level? Okay, let's have a look at what we need for optimal level. So this is what the recent research data suggests. 1.5 to 2 kilos of intended body weight. Okay, which is what we're aiming for. So I say always go for 2 grams, because if you don't hit it, you're always going to hit the 1.5. So an example of that, if you're aiming for 70 kilos as a body weight, which is about 154 pounds, at 1.5 would be 105 grams, up to 140 grams per day. That's kind of what you guys are trying to hit. And 2 grams per kilo of body weight will make you the most anabolic. Anabolic comes from the word anabolism, which means the building up aspect of metabolism. So to be highly anabolic, which means you're going to build the most muscle that you possibly can, which is exactly what we want. The opposite of that is catabolic, which means the breaking down. When people lose muscle or they burn muscle as a source of fuel, that's called catabolism. That's the exact opposite of what we want. As I said, always aim for 2 grams of protein. Because if you don't get it, you're always going to hit your 1.5. So what is the optimal level? What will that equate to? Well, it's going to help you stay in that calorie deficit for longer, and it's going to allow you to stay there easier. Okay, it's going to keep you satisfied, switched on, motivated, and very often you're just not going to feel hungry. Building more muscle will increase calorie burn, which means muscle is very expensive real estate. The more muscle you've got on your body, the more muscle you will burn. Sleeping, sitting at your desk, just general metabolism, you're going to burn so much more calories by having more muscle in your body. The more muscle you've got, it's going to help you change shape, it's going to increase your strength, and it's going to help you burn more body fat, which is what we're in this for. This is the game. We're trying to burn as much body fat as we can. And by burning more body fat, it's going to help you lose weight. Increased energy, increased sleep, better quality of life, and decreased degenerative disease. So all of these things from more protein is going to allow you to get to your goals that much quicker. And you can see why I talk about protein every single coaching call, because it's by far our most important things, but not just for weight loss, for absolute health, building muscle, burning fat, everything. Okay, here's some great sources of protein. I know a few of you have asked this. It's fairly obvious, but a lot of people ask what are the best sources, and these are kind of the best sources. Beef, chicken breast, turkey breast, sockeye salmon, which is salmon that's come straight from the sea, from Alaska, as opposed to farmed factory salmon, which is, it's salmon's protein, but it's high fat and the quality of it is not that great. Yellowfin tuna, if you can afford to get it. Even the tin stuff in olive oil is pretty good, but it's a lot more pricey than normal tin tuna. Pork chops, again, is very high in protein. And as I said there, go organic, wild, and free range if possible and affordable. Okay, some other protein sources, high protein dairy foods. Eggs, we mentioned this before, there's 6 grams per large egg. Cottage cheese is an excellent source. Greek yogurt we talked about. And you can go for the full fat version or the low fat. And obviously whey protein powder and quark. I don't know if any of you have tried that. It's like cottage cheese, but it's like a soft cheese, a mixture between yogurt and cheese. I'm not particularly keen on myself, but it's a way of getting protein in that some people use. And then other high protein foods as well, sardines, mackerel, anchovies, awesome source of protein, but high fat, usually in the tin variety. Again, very, very good, but just want to be careful of the fat if that's a problem. Lentils, quinoa, That's pronounced quinoa, not quinoa, as I heard someone say the other day. Edamame beans, navy beans, and mixed nuts. Again, Brazils, cashews, pecans, almonds, all very, very good sources of protein. However, there's actually more fat in those nuts than there is protein. So although there's protein in them, and it's a good source of protein, it's not a high protein source because the majority of those calories come from fat in nuts. You have to be very, very careful. Okay, so magical whey protein powder, which isn't magical at all. There's nothing magical in protein powder whatsoever. It's just to supplement your diet. I would look at adding a protein shake into your diet if you can't get protein from whole food sources. Whole food sources will always be the best choice. But particularly for the ladies, and I say that not to be sexist, just because I get so many women asking me, will a protein shake bulk me up? No, it won't make you big, bulky, or muscular. The only thing that will make you muscular is an increased amount of calories, as in the calorie surplus, a bodybuilding routine, 4 or 5 days of heavy weight training. Even if you did that, you still would find it very, very hard to put on any significant amount of muscle because you guys don't have enough testosterone. The average woman has got 15 times less testosterone than the average guy. And it's hard for men to put muscle on. It's really hard for I've been trying to bulk up for 25 years. I've never got past 80 kilos in my life. It's very, very hard. So when you see any guy that's particularly muscular, very often, not all of them, but very often they've used some type of performance enhancing drug. Any professional athlete, let's not even go there. Any woman that's extremely muscular, amazing genetics, in a calorie surplus, probably hitting 180 grams of protein a day and injecting anabolic steroids across the board, no doubt. Ladies, you're not going to build too much muscle. But what it will do is it will help you hit your daily protein targets that much easier. Okay, 1 scoop is going to give you 20 to 25 grams of protein and tastes pretty good. So I definitely recommend it. And here's an example. I get a lot of people asking me, how would I make up 100, 120 grams of protein? So it's just something I threw together when I made this presentation yesterday. It's some of the stuff that I eat most days. Breakfast, so oats, oatmeal, porridge oats, scoop of whey protein, some nuts, some frozen berries, some almond milk. I mix that all up. I have it in this big gooey, chocolatey, frozen mess. 35 to 4 grams of protein. 35 to 40 grams of protein.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Putting protein in the porridge. I tried it. I nearly died.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Protein porridge bad. Just saying.
Protein powder, yeah?
No, in the porridge.
Say again?
In the porridge.
In the porridge, yes.
Bad.
Actually put it into the porridge, yeah.
No, it's not good.
Not good? Why?
I nearly died yesterday trying it.
You what?
It's like, I felt like I was on, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, trying to finish the trial.
Okay. Well, that's just an option. You don't have to do that. Lunch, I've just kept this very, very basic. Chicken breast, bake a chicken breast in the oven. Put some salad with it. 30 to 40 grams of protein, depending on how big your chicken breast is. Dinner, and get your choice, some beef, some salmon, some pork, with some rice and vegetables, 25 to 40 grams of protein, depending on the size of the protein. And then a snack could be a carb killer or a protein shake if you didn't have the protein at breakfast, or maybe some eggs, again, 20 to 40 grams. So if you were going top end there, that's 120 grams. Actually, sorry, 160 grams there, isn't it? 40, 40, 40, 40. Low end, 35, 30, 65, 90, 110. So you've got 110 to 160 grams there. So yeah, you're going to need 3 to 4 servings of protein a day, probably to hit your protein level. But it's by far the best way to build muscle, burn fat, have lots of energy, be switched on, keep your hunger at bay, all the things that you guys want. So that's why I constantly harp on about protein. I'm sorry if it's boring, but it is. But it's the number one thing to go. However, in terms of pure fat loss, even if you've got 100 grams of protein and then didn't go over your calories, you're still going to get good results. But I'm just talking optimal levels. Okay. The end. So we've come to the end of the presentation, guys. Hope that makes sense. And we can cut that here.